In today's video, I would like to share with you how you can learn a foreign language on your own for free and actually without studying as much. If you don't know how to start learning a foreign language and how to do it effortlessly and efficiently, this video is for you.
Now, go study. Study what?
There are so many different options to learn a foreign language. And I know that if you are a beginner, you may have a feeling that you actually don't know where to start because it's so easy to get lost.
Lost.
Should you learn grammar or maybe just focus on vocabulary? Should you watch movies, YouTube videos or listen to podcasts if you don't understand anything? Should you buy a book? And if so, what book should you choose? There are so many different questions and I hope to make everything clear in today's video. Before we start, click the subscribe button, because in this way you can see more videos like this in the future, where I help you to progress in your language journey. I'm gonna take you through all the necessary steps that you should take to become fluent in a foreign language. And that's why it is so important to watch this video till the end, because every single point can make a huge difference if you do what it says. So, let's get started.
Let's start.
How to start learning a foreign language. Number 1. Choose the language. If you watch this video and you already have a language that you want to learn in your mind, you can skip this part to the second point because there's a time slot on the video. If not, let me tell you how you can choose a language to learn. First of all, take into consideration your personal interests. Ask yourself questions like, am I drawn to any aspect of culture, history, literature of this particular country? Do I like a sound of this language? So simply choose a language that you will enjoy and that you always wanted to learn, because it is way easier to stay motivated. Second of all, consider practical issues. Ask yourself questions like, do I plan to work or travel in the specific country where the particular language is spoken? Do I have any friends from this country so I can practice speaking with them? Being practical about learning a foreign language is a real game changer that will help you to progress faster. Third of all, a great way to decide is to take under consideration your career. So if learning a particular language could help you to get promoted or to boost your career prospects, I think it's definitely worth choosing. Also, if you want to work and live abroad, you can check what languages are the most profitable to know and choose one of them. So this is something practical and money related. But this kind of motivation won't help you to study on a daily basis. That's why I think it's important to remember about the first point, because you should at least a little bit enjoy learning this language. I hope that this short explanation helped you to make up your mind which language you should choose. How to start learning a foreign language. Number 2. Become independent.
On your own.
If you want to learn a foreign language and you don't really have time or money, or maybe both, for language classes, then you have to develop an independent mindset. And well, if you've already joined some language course, I think it's still a good idea to be an independent learner.
Teacher?
Because at the end of the day, a person who has to learn it is you. It's not your teacher, right? I know it sounds like a cliché, but I think it's important to understand it and remember about it, because the faster you do it, the faster you will make progress. So to become an independent learner, you have to be committed to it and also dedicate your time and energy for self-study. You also have to be prepared to spend additional time on looking for interesting materials that you will enjoy. How to start learning a foreign language? Number 3. The most efficient way to start if you know nothing. So if you watch this video, it is very likely that you have literally no experience in language learning and you wonder how you can learn a foreign language so you can see some results as fast as possible. And the answer to it is so simple that you may not even believe me. The answer is to do input. Do input as much as you can. I know that some people claim that you should do output and try to speak from the first day of learning foreign language. But I don't think it's true, because let me ask you a question. how can you speak if you don't know how this language should sound?
This is impossible.
And that's why at the beginning you should focus just on input. Because you need something to rely on, you need something to relate to. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you won't sound natural and you won't make progress fast. So let me explain you how it works. When you do a lot of input, your brain starts remembering words. And you may not even know what they mean, but the important thing is that they are already in your head. And also, let me ask you, what comes first, a word or a meaning? Because when we learn a foreign language, it's always like this, that first we hear or see a word and then we learn a meaning. That's why it is so important to do a lot of input, because when you already remember a word, it's so much easier to learn its meaning. There's another thing that I wanted to say to people that want to start speaking a foreign language fast. Because I know that for many of you this is your goal, to actually start speaking, to start communicating. So it is always like this, that first we hear or see a word, then we learn its meaning, so then we can use it. So it's never otherwise, and that's why it is so important to focus on input at the beginning, because then it's so much easier to transfer your passive vocabulary into your active vocabulary.
How would you do it?
So my method may seem controversial, but if I decided to learn a new foreign language today, I would just start with listening. And I would listen to a foreign language a few hours per day, without really translating every single word, without studying anything, without studying grammar, nothing. I would just start with listening. So after some time, I would probably start translating some new words. But only the vocabulary that I can remember and that I can already recognize because they appeared so often. That's why they have to be important. For my study materials, I would choose audiobooks or some YouTube videos available for free on YouTube, and I would just make sure that they have subtitles so I can write down new words.
I have another question.
Another important question is, should you choose something that is only on your level? And in other words, if you are A1, should you use materials only on A1 level?
Yes. And no.
So my answer is yes and no. And let me explain you this with an example. So people who move abroad are able to learn a foreign language so fast, sometimes in a few months. And the reason for it is that they are exposed to the real language spoken by native speakers every day. And at the same time, they study this language with the materials on your level. So this combination gives you something that is the most beneficial. Because you know the basics, but you also know many more advanced words passively. That's why, even as a beginner, even if you are on A1 level, I would combine a materials on your level with something that is spoken by native speakers to native speakers. Because in this way you can progress much faster. So what you choose doesn't matter that much. The important thing is that you enjoy it. So it can be a YouTube video, it can be a movie, it can be a podcast, it can be an audiobook. So this is literally a way I would start. As I said, it may seem controversial, this is my opinion and I share it with you. We can discuss it in the comment section if you want. How to start learning a foreign language? Number 4. How about grammar? So, how about grammar? At the beginning, I said that I would probably completely ignore it. And it's funny because I say it as a grammar nerd. And I love learning grammar. And I think that this is an important part of a language that you cannot really ignore at all. I also know that many people say that you should, especially on the videos on internet, that you should probably completely ignore grammar and never learn it. And I don't think it's true. Because if your goal is to become fluent, you should also learn grammar. Because not knowing grammar may also lead to misunderstandings. The only problem you may have with grammar as a beginner is that you're not gonna use it if you don't know enough words, right? So that's why it is so important to focus on building your vocabulary at the beginning, so later you can learn grammar. The question also is, how much grammar do you need as a beginner? And the answer is actually not much, because you should focus just on the most basic grammar that will actually help you to communicate. So don't overwhelm yourself with structures that you will hardly ever use, because they can actually stop you from expressing yourself. Another question that you may have as a beginner is, what does the most basic grammar include? And the answer is that every single language is different, and you actually have to find out how it works in your language. So some languages, such as Polish and German, have cases. But some languages, such as, for example, English, have three present tenses, which is present simple, present perfect, and present continuous. So grammar rules in every language are different. So I would say that probably one of the most important things is to learn some basic tenses, such as present tense, future tense, or past tense. However, there are some Asian languages, such as, for example, Chinese or Vietnamese, that don't have tenses at all. So it really depends on the language that you want to learn. But what can you do if you want to learn grammar as a beginner and you have actually no teacher that will correct your mistakes? Then I would look for some websites that can do it for you. For example, if you want to learn English or if you want to improve your grammar in English, then you can use a website called Grammarly. So this AI website will underline your grammar mistakes and show you the correct version for free. So I think this is a pretty good option. How to start learning a foreign language? Number 5. Books and language learning materials. So what language materials do you need as a beginner? Should you invest in something? Well, the purpose of this video is to show you that you can actually learn a foreign language for free. That's why I would like to mention that a good option for you may be to go to the public library and borrow a lot of materials and actually check what's available and what kind of materials you enjoy.
For free.
There are grammar books, course books, and some short stories in a foreign language. And the good thing about it is that you're not gonna spend any money and you're gonna have an overview of what's available. So actually the only thing that I would invest in as a beginner is probably a notebook and a pen. And this is probably something that you already have at home. So yeah, you can really learn a lot for free if you dedicate to it your time and energy. How to start learning a foreign language? Number 6. How about speaking? So after you've learned a lot of words passively and you also know some basics of grammar, it's high time to start speaking and to activate your passive vocabulary. And I talk about how you can do it in the video that is visible on the screen right now. So click right here, see you there, and thank you for watching.